Okay, don't clap the video camera, okay guys? That's just what we need. People here. What's going on? It's valid. I think it's valid. Hey, thank you again, everybody, for coming. I'm sure everybody knows that we have the famous Chef Tony Macaroni of New Prime 95 here with us. What's his real name? Chef Tony is here pro bono on behalf of RCCS. He wanted to give us a hand, and we really appreciate that. And he's going to show us a demonstration. You know, it's grilling season. Everybody's trying to figure out how to do it, which steak to buy, and how to grill it. And the chef is going to show us how to do it. Thank you.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Tony Macaroni. Yes, that's my real name. For those of you who do not know me, in Prime 95, I've cooked for many celebrities in the past. Recently moved here from Florida, thanks to the owners of Prime 95. So I'm here for your demonstration today. So what we're going to do today is give you a little demonstration on how to cook beef. Number one thing in this world that everyone loves to eat. I have some cuts here that I've displayed out here, a skirt steak, which I use my marinade on. Many people use different marinades. The secret to skirt steak is very salty, so you're going to want to use some sweet marinades. Brown sugar, Coca-Cola, cumin, stuff of that nature would take this salt right out of it. I also got a cut of filet mignon, which I guess in the kosher world is the eye of this beast behind me here, which is a prime rib. So what we're going to do is cook some of these items off, and you don't need a lot of ingredients in order to cook your steaks. Your best part of cooking the steak is trying to keep it the natural juices. The natural juices in the steak are much more nicer than these oils and these soy sauces and garlic and all this junk. Everyone thinks that it makes the taste of the steak better. All you're doing is enhancing the flavor of the stuff that you're putting on it. You're just burning it. You're not cooking it. You're just burning it. It's not giving you any flavor. The only flavor you're tasting is the stuff that you put on it, which is it's just burning off. It's not really cooking it. So unless the steak is like a skirt steak or a petite steak, which is a flat steak or a flat iron or a hanger steak, you're not really getting any flavor out of it unless you're going to marinate. If you marinate something, you have to marinate it for at least 2 weeks. 24 hours doesn't work. 24 hours, all you're doing is putting a coating on it, and it just burns off inside. Every steak is porous, if you don't know that. I'm telling you now. Steak is porous, it's just like an egg. If you took an egg and you dumped it in vinegar for a couple of weeks, and you go to boil it, the egg is going to taste like vinegar. So it's the same thing for a steak. So you're going to have to target it to where it's going to have a flavor. If you want flavor, then you have to marinate it for 2 weeks, no matter what. Our skirt steak at the restaurant, we marinated for 2.5 weeks. So by the time it hits your plate, it's already aged 2.5 weeks in the marinade. So let's get started. You don't need a lot of fancy tools. I don't know if everyone's got these cards on their tables, but I left a bunch of lists. You don't need fancy tools to grill. The only thing you need is a pair of these. You can buy them anywhere. A pair of tongs. That's it. You don't need anything fancy. As far as a grill, charcoal, wood burning, smoke, whatever you use, don't use a lid. Do not ever use a lid over a steak. Because all you're doing is, guess what? You're boiling it. You're not cooking it. You're not grilling it. You're just boiling it. So by boiling it, all you're tasting is boiled meat. You might as well use a sous vide and call it a day. I know that's very popular, and in this day and age, it's become popular is for faster service and to make it more tender. But the sous vide ain't the way to go, because all you're doing is boiling steak. It's the same thing when you put a lid on it. It's like taking the steak and putting it in the oven. That's basically what you're doing without a lid on it. So cooking a steak, open air, without a lid is the best way to do it. It gives you natural flavor, and it always comes out perfect. The other thing, people tend to say that you want your steak tender, you want it soft. Well, guess what? If you want it soft and you want it tender, always cook on high heat. Never cook on low heat, because all you're doing is prolonging the juices. You're draining out all of the flavor from the steak itself. By keeping it on the grill slow and low, you're just braising it. That's another cooking process. If you want to braise it, throw some water, throw some lemon, throw some wine, cover it up and throw it in the oven. It's the same quality of steak that you're going to get if you were to close the lid on it and let it cook slow and low in your grill. So, this being said, if you want a steak, a perfect steak, just like when you go out to eat at any of the restaurants here in town or in Manhattan or in LA or in Florida, wherever you guys love to eat your steaks, they do it the same way I'm going to show you now. There's no different. They all use gas grills. The flavors are just the chips that they put in, the wood chips, if they want a smoky flavor, if they want a robust flavor. If you want to marinate steaks, like I said, you can marinate them right on the grill, but you would use the chips. The chips will help you a lot better. The smoked chips, they sell them at Home Depot, and they got smoked, they got hickory, they got Jack Daniel ones. You can do your own, really. You can buy plain chips, and you can soak them for 24 hours in like bourbon or whiskey or any alcohol that you like that flavor for, and then you could put it into your flames, and that will give it the same flavor than you just putting all this garbage all over it. All right, so let's start with a basic skirt steak. We'll just lay it up. I always tell everyone, when you lay steak on the grill, never put it up and down. Always put it sideways. So when you start to cook a steak, you start at 11 o'clock and you end at 2 o'clock. So being said, we start at 11, all right? And we're gonna cut some fillets also. The best thing to do is the best friend that you can have when you got your steaks is your butcher. The world I come from, I give the butcher $10 extra to get me the best meat. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But that's the best way to get the best meat, because meat is hard to come by. And if you want the best cuts, the butcher's going to give you only the best cuts if he likes you. If you don't like it, he'll give you the end piece somewhere hung out in his meat locker for the past 2 weeks. All right, so let's cut some fillets. I usually cut fillets about 2 fingers wide. It's always best to buy the whole. It's cheaper to buy it whole than to buy it like in pieces. So I try to cut it like 2 pieces. So this was marinated. These are not marinated. So what I basically do is just a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of salt, and nothing major. It's just very simple. Same situation. 11 o'clock is where we're going to start. Nice and hot. As far as these steaks here, let's take an end off over here. All right. I always cut I'm a big steak eater myself. A lot of people like steaks 2 inches. I like them 3 inches. So I always cut steaks nice and fat. That's the way I eat steak. Just take off the fat from the top. That's the best way, best monetization. Nice and thick. All right, same situation. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. All right, so I let it go. Usually what I let it go do for a little bit is I let it set for 5 minutes on each turn. Always cross hatch your meats. Reason being, a meat is a muscle. So all it's going to do is going to contract. So what you're doing right now is you want it to settle to where it's going to catch the mobilization of the meat itself from 11 o'clock, and then you turn it to 2 o'clock. If you want it longer and cooked longer, then you just leave it longer. 5 minutes is usually on each corner, brings you to medium rare. I prefer medium rare. I know a lot of people eat it well done. If you want it well done, then you've got to cut it a little bit thinner, because you'll never get a steak of this nature to be well done unless you want to finish it off in the oven, and then you're losing flavor pretty much. Most steaks are made to eat anywhere between medium rare to medium, and that way you'll never have any problems. As far as, like I said, buying your steaks, the best steaks are usually, like you can see here, if you could get some nice marbleization. A lot of people say, oh, there's a lot of fat, it's a lot of fat. But fat is flavor when it comes to beef. It's not like any other meat that they usually cook or work with. The fat is actually very flavorful. Most places will cook it with this on, because then they take it off, once it's cooked. If you're at home, you don't want to deal with it because it's going to take a long time. And usually most home barbecues, grills, are not as powerful, as strong, unless you have something that's, like one of these monster newer Webers that they have, like these propane situations. This is a propane one, but it's not as powerful as some of the newer ones. The newer ones, the flames are like coming through the, right through the grates. And the hotter, the better it is. Always cook super, super hot. It doesn't make any sense to cook it low. And don't use the lid, like I said. Do not use the lid. Take the lid off. The lid is to protect it from the rain and the snow. I cook all year round, so just cook it in the garage. It's easier that way. So like we have the skirt steak. So now I'm going to turn them to 11 o'clock. Same thing. The fillet. This is going to take some time. And see if we can get some more heat on here. Another secret that a lot of people don't know is that everyone tends to overcook their meat. If you want a medium rare, if everyone could put their fists together like this, and I'll teach you, by touch, instead of using your thermometer, because the thermometer is like maybe 30% accurate. It's not perfect. So if you close your fist very tight and you go like this to your touch, that's a well done. And no matter where you go, that's a well done. If you loosen it up a little bit, that's a medium well. If you loosen up some more, you go to medium, and then of course to medium rare, and then once it's flat open, it's rare. That is the way to touch it, to feel that it's perfect. It'll never fail you. If you go like this and you say, oh, I want a well done steak, no bounce is well done. Little bounce, medium rare, medium well, and so forth. So it's very simple. So as we're cooking here, we're going to give another turn to these. As you can see, don't try this at home, guys, because my hands are used to the 500 degrees or better. But as you can see, there's like some nice cross hatching, so that's where you want to be. All right, and now we're almost like at medium side. All right. Is there any questions? Any questions? Anybody have any questions?
How hot is the grill?
Your grill should be at anywhere between 400 to 500 degrees. You know what I mean? If you're at 400 degrees, you're good. At 500, you're even better. The hotter the grill, you want it piping hot. If you want to use the lid to get it hot, that's maybe the lid will help you with that. I'm out here. It's not as hot as I would like it to be, but you know, I guess as far as the demonstration, we'll try our best.
How do you marinate for 2 weeks without spoiling in your fridge?
It won't spoil. As long as it's submerged in the marinade, it will not spoil. It'll never spoil. And actually, you can use it not only for 2 weeks, it'll last over a month. You know, it'll last a very long time. The secret to it is that if you're going to marinate, you have to use an acid. For every action, there's a reaction. And because the steak is porous, it's only going to react to what you put to it. So if you're going to put something sweet, you have to put something spicy or something like a garlic or an onion, something savory. For every sweet you put in, you have to put something savory. For every savory you put in, you have to put something sweet, or else they won't marry together. Because what happens is if you make it all sweet, make it all spicy, all it's going to do is that the fat and the marbleization is going to shrink. And then what you're doing is you're actually cooking it in the acid itself. So acids react to other acids. So if you put in, say for instance, you want soy sauce. You like soy sauce? Well, guess what? You have to add a little garlic to it or onion to it. If you like, say for instance, I use Coca-Cola and brown sugar, then you would use cumin or curry, powders to it. The best is fresh herbs. Fresh herbs are the perfect marriage. If you're going to marinate, say for instance, you want to use oil. If you use oil, don't use olive oil because olive oil just burns. It just turns black. I would suggest to use, corn oil or vegetable oil or soy oil, But if you're going to use oils, do remember, you're going to end up cooking it. So you have to put something in there to react to it. So you're going to put maybe a little balsamic vinegar or a white vinegar or red wine vinegar, fresh herbs, fresh whole cauliflower. A lot of marinades are not very difficult. You could use a basic mirepoix, which basically means celery, carrots, and onions. If you put your steak in celery, carrot, and onions with some olive oil, with some oils, with olive oil, then the olive oil will break down because there's elements and enzymes in the carrots, celery, and onions, and that will break down the olive oil. So when you go to use it on the grill, it won't burn up. So you have, for every action, there's a reaction. So you guys want to make sure of those things. All right? So we're pretty much. So like I said, the grill is not as hot as I would like it to be. Basically, that's pretty much it. If there's any questions or anything? All right, guys, enjoy your evening. Yeah. I'll cook some meat. Yeah. I'll continue grilling, and we'll serve some up right here. Yep. As it gets ready, we'll put some up and put it right over here.
Okay, thank you very much, Chef. The meat will be passed around a little later when it's done. But listen, we have somebody here who's going to share with us a personal story. Listen carefully.
Good evening, everybody. I just realized that I left my speech at home, so it's to your advantage. You'll have some more time with our professional chef. Just a couple of moments. Just about 10 years ago, my father's son, Rocha, was diagnosed with a level 3 cancerous brain tumor, Rahman al-Islam. Probably about 24 hours after he was diagnosed, Rahman al-Islam, he went on the surgery that no insurance covered. We're talking about $24,000 cash to the doctors in the hospital. And right after surgery, unfortunately, you're not done. You needed to go under extensive treatments, and forget about the best doctor. No doctor will look at you if you don't have insurance, and definitely not a good doctor unless you have the very best insurance. Rabbi Sai, I'm going to make this very short. 7.5 years, RCCS paid for my father's insurance policies on an average between $800 and $1,200 a month for 7.5 years. My dear friends, open up your hearts and your pockets. Over 100 patients in Lakewood are seeking and waiting for your help. Unfortunately, my father is no longer here with us, but RCCS gave our family 7.5 years more time with him. Other than their help, it would not have been possible. Please, if you haven't yet, go over to Reb Arnstein, my good friend, Reb Maya Fried, and other Askanim that are here. Contribute to what they're asking for. Hashem should bench you and all of us to Atzlocha, and Chulila V'chas, you should not know of RCCS other than giving, and should Chulila not have to ever take from them an insurance policy or their services. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Reb Nussen. Elam has already been sitting and listening for a while. We're going to make it quick. We have with us Reb Zalman Leib Horowitz, who's the chairman of the board, and one of the people that really knows the inner workings of what's going on inside RCCS, and I believe you'll find what he has to say fascinating. Reb Zalman Leib.